Jeremy Rosenthal, who's an attorney, to talk more about the legal standpoint of all of this. Jeremy, as always, thank you for joining us here on Live Now from Fox.
Thank you for having me.
So I want to ask you this because I think a lot of people might have been surprised when they heard that the suspect was arrested. I think a lot of people might have been surprised when they heard that the suspect was arrested and then released the very same day on a $5,000 bail. From a legal aspect, when you take a look at the charges against him, does that make sense?
It actually does. Legally speaking, what you have are some state firearms violations. And until or unless you get more evidence of something more sinister, something more pointed, that's all you really have. So you can't just hold people just to hold them just because you think that they're up to no good. That goes against the Constitution. So you take what you do have, and you have these state charges on gun possession. If that's the price that you would normally do, 5,000 might be a little bit low, but it could be 10, 15, 20,000. A bond he would be able to make anyway. So either way, he's out.
So there was initial concern. There have been two attempts on former President Trump's life. There was concern that this might have been an attempted third assassination. The suspect saying that is certainly not the case. But when it comes to motive, when it comes to danger, can you share with us legally what a judge can and cannot take a look at when deciding these legal proceedings?
What's going to have to happen here? So let's see if all we have is what we learned the other day, which is we've got a guy coming in that he's got all these firearms, that he's got fake passports, that he's got a license plate that doesn't match up. If you take that and that's all you have, what do you have, right? And if you're a prosecutor, do you have enough information to bring an indictment for, say, something threatening Donald Trump's life? Do you have enough evidence for that? I don't know that you do. So what if you're a judge, there's probably not going to be a whole lot to consider unless or until the prosecution can get more evidence. Depending on, and now this guy has made it clear he's going to talk to every camera that's pointed in his direction on this side of the Mississippi. He's made it clear that he wants to talk and tell his side of the story. He identifies his affiliation as being with a group that's called the Sovereign Citizens. Anybody who has prosecuted or defended anybody in a criminal justice setting has undoubtedly come into contact with folks with this belief system. We'll see what additional evidence is out there. And the good news for the authorities, the FBI and any local authorities, is they've got some time to develop this evidence. And it sounds like with this guy, there's going to be a lot of it. Anytime he does a fake passport, anytime he fakes a driver's license or a license plate, there's going to be a bit of a trail there that the FBI is going to be able to figure out, okay, what is really going on here?
Is there anything else, Jeremy, that stands out to you when it came to the actions taken, when it came to the evidence that was shown to be inside his car, or maybe even the statements that he made?
This is why we have this bulked up and beefed up security. Normally, a checkpoint or a road stop would be unconstitutional. But here, if you're going to go to a rally where you have somebody who is very close to, or is a former president of the United States and is potentially going to be the president of the United States again, you have a lowered expectation of privacy. Think of going through an airport security system. It's a lot different than going to your local grocery store. You have a diminished expectation of search. So when you're driving a car into that area, it's certainly reasonable to think that you will be stopped, that you will be inspected for no other reason than you want access to this event. If there's a defense here, it might be somewhere along those lines. But again, we're going to have to see exactly what was this guy up to. And he comes again with all of these dangerous things, with all of this phony baloney stuff in his car. And then on the other hand, he's made it very clear that he considers himself a supporter of Donald Trump. What's the truth? Again, We'll take a look at the social media. We'll take a look at, tracing down all these fake things that he had and seeing maybe there's something else that gives us a better insight to what's going on in this guy's mind.
Jeremy, he's scheduled to be in court sometime in January. When it comes to that, I mean, what possibly could he be facing, if anything?
Currently, it looks like just state charges. Now, he's also carrying firearms across state borders. That could be some kind of a trigger for some federal charges. And if they find any kind of motive that's a little bit more pointed, he could be looking at an attempt charge. So anytime you're looking at, say, attempted murder or attempted anything, bank robbery or any other crime, fill in the blank, you have to have you have to have a set of actions that sort of advance that objective or that goal. Certainly, this man, if let's say for argument's sake, let's go to the conclusion that the law enforcement did, which is they thwarted an assassination attempt. Well, okay, we've certainly got a lot of evidence of something, right? But what exactly is it? So for the time being, it doesn't sound like he's facing a whole heck of a lot of charges. If they are, it sounds to be state level in the state of California. If there's anything more, it's going to be something that we learn from this point going forward.
Jeremy, is there anything before we let you go, anything else that you would want to add as it relates to this case?
I think we all just need to stay tuned, right? I mean, certainly, nobody likes the idea of this type of violence. It's very unnerving. I suppose we should all be thankful that it was thwarted, and the statements by the authorities were that the former president's life was never in danger, that nobody in the venue was ever really in danger. That's why we do what we do, and that's why we have these degrees of security measures. So from that standpoint, the system worked. But again, there's obviously something much bigger going on when you got a fellow like this just kind of driving out there with what he had, and why he thought he could get through a security checkpoint is anybody's guess. But we'll see where this goes, and I think everybody's going to be really curious to see what's on his social media, to see what's in this man's history, to see where some of these other loose ends really lead to.
And no doubt the Secret Service, the FBI, and other agencies will absolutely be taking a look at that. Jeremy, as always, we appreciate you joining us here on Live Now from Fox.
Thank you very much.